What's up, everybody? Wednesday, February 12th, multiple days past the Super Bowl. We'll talk Mahomes' legacy. I think the discussion is absolutely silly, but I get why we have it because why not? It's sports media. We got to talk about something. And legacy, we love talking about that. We'll talk about Cam Newton's loser comments. I want to elaborate a little bit on some tweets that I had, Steve Smith had, Charles Johnson. I want to explain sort of why we took offense to that. It's very simple, and I'll talk about that. And then I saw a tweet from Daniel Jeremiah about Matt Stafford potentially on the Giants and maybe other teams. I saw Chase Daniel talk about that. So we'll discuss why I don't understand the Giants doing that. But let's start with Patrick Mahomes. So obviously, he lost. He didn't play well. Go watch the film. Go watch a TV Cup, whatever you want to say. Not a great performance. He was blown out, absolutely. But the final score was not indicative of how the game went. And of course, against Tampa Bay, he was blown out, but he played well in that game. And in the last 7 years, Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls. He's won 3. He's played in 7 AFC championship games. And he's lost 4 playoff games, right? By 3 points twice. Overtime twice. Once by touchdown, once by a field goal. And in the first overtime game, he was fabulous. The second overtime game against the Bengals, didn't play well in the second half of that game. But through this entire playoff run, basically you have a half of one game and then another full game where he didn't play well. And he's won 3 of 5 Super Bowls. If we want to compare him to Tom Brady, and I hate the comparison game, but that is what sports talk is. It's what topics are in the offseason. And to be fair, as we approach this Super Bowl, there was talk about Patrick Mahomes passing Tom Brady as the best quarterback of all time. But that all centers around winning the football game. And he didn't win the football game. So that talk is obviously brought back down now, right? Tom Brady won 7. Now, he won 3 in 4 years, took off 10 years essentially, and then won 3 in 5 years. And Mahomes is 29. He's only 29. We talk about him sometimes, and not me, other people do, like he is a much older football player. He's only 29. And listen what he accomplished again. 7 seasons as a starter. Super Bowl champion 3 times. Super Bowl 5 times. AFC Championship 7 times. What he has done in the first part of his NFL life is better than anyone else. And yes, he didn't play well the other day. What I find most interesting about this discussion is it really parallels the Jordan LeBron discussion for one reason. And that is that we do not look at everything outside of the championship game for legacy. And I understand that legacy is most defined as what you do in those big moments, as it absolutely should be. But when we're trying to talk about who is better, and again, I think the discussion is kind of dumb because LeBron is 40 years old. He just had a week ago like a 40-17-13 game, which is wild. He's still playing that well at this age. And yeah, he's not won as many titles as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan might be the best player ever. LeBron is the best talent ever. I don't know how you deny LeBron's talent and where he's at as a player still at 40 years old. But it's the idea that Jordan was 6-0 in the postseason, really in finals, and LeBron is 4-5, something like that, 4-6, so somewhere around there. But he's been to more championship series, and he's had more success in the early round of the postseason than Jordan has. And when we look at Patrick Mahomes and this Brady conversation, we seem to ignore Brady's losses early, not really early, but throughout his career in different rounds of the postseason. And Mahomes' loss counts more in the Super Bowl than Brady's loss counts in the divisional round or in a wild card round. I don't know why we have to differentiate that or why it is different, right? Why is a loss in division round, a wild card round against what should be an inferior opponent to a Super Bowl opponent not counted at all in the legacy discussion? Because when we're talking about these players at this level and we're trying to break the difference, people only want to break the difference at the Super Bowl level. And we penalize LeBron and Mahomes for the losses in the biggest game, but don't penalize the other for losses in other games. That's it. Now, look, is Mahomes the best ever to do it? Not yet. He's not earned that right. And certainly, as we discussed, again, GOAT status, Brady's up there. And Mahomes still has to win many, many Super Bowls to get, in my opinion, to get to that level. Now, is he the most, again, like the most talented player ever at this position or done the most through 7 years? Absolutely. But now he has to do it in year, what is this, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which is going to be hard to do. The team's going to go through, and if you listen to Travis Kelce on New Heights, and you absolutely should, sounds like a guy who's contemplating retirement. I've said this for months and weeks now, and the way he's playing, I just think that he's near the end of his career, maybe for one more year, but they put all their eggs in this basket of winning a championship this year, that just mentally, I think they're exhausted. And maybe that is a calculation for what Travis wants to do. But again, with the Mahomes stuff, we're allowed to say he didn't play well. He didn't play well, but to me, it doesn't tarnish the legacy of what he's done so far. And we seem to ignore, Tom Brady. Again, this is Mahomes not even at this stage yet. He's not in, that would have been 2007 would have been, I guess it would have been about the same time, 7-8 years in the Brady's career. He lost a game as a 2-touchdown favorite in the Super Bowl. And people will say, well, Brady only lost games by 3 and 8, I think, in 3 or 4. That was, I think, the 4 losses he had in the Super Bowl. But one of those 3 was a loss. He was a 14-point favorite with maybe the best team of all time. And they lost to the Giants in that game. And yet somehow that's not a negative. But I understand people want to protect Tom Brady's legacy, and he is their favorite player, and he's the GOAT. I'm not disagreeing that Tom Brady is as good as we say he is. I'm pushing back on the idea that we're not basically treating every game the same, which, again, Super Bowl, you want to treat as the highest, be my guest. We also take consideration games where Tom Brady was a 14-point favorite. I did win a game as a 14-point dog, right? So that's also fair to bring up. But also, Mahomes so far, again, 7 straight AFC Championship games. 7 straight. It's an incredible job. And maybe it ends after this season and we never talk about it again. I doubt that. I think he'll get, maybe not 2025, get back there, and we'll be able to talk more about the legacy moving forward. But it feels premature to take a dump on his legacy after one bad Super Bowl performance, where even if he played great, they might not have won that game. The Eagles were fabulous. And there were moments in that game where, again, Mahomes had opportunities that didn't help out, bad throws, bad connection with teammates, guy drops the ball here and there, gets sacked before he's able to let the ball loose. But taking a dump on someone who's 29 years old, who's done all he has done, feels very premature and pretty silly when it comes to GOAT discussion. Okay, so that's my Mahomes take. You can find other people that my brother is going on, Nick Wright, all these guys are going on about it. But I should make clear that I think Mahomes is still really like 1B, right? I mean, 1A Tom Brady. You want to call him 2? Okay, fine, call him 2. I find this discussion to be just like mind-numbing sometimes. But I do sports talk radio too. Got to fill the airwaves, and that's one way to fill the airwaves. All right, Cam Newton. So Cam Newton was on a podcast with Travis Hunter. We'll pull up the quote right now. And he was talking to Travis Hunter, who is probably going to be, if not the first pick, the second pick or third pick. It's not top 3. I think if you wagered on one of the, I'm going to find the odds right now. If you decided to wager on these 3 guys to be the first pick in the draft, I don't think you're going to lose your wager. Depends on what the odds are sitting at the moment to whether or not you can actually make any money here. I'm curious. Let's see here. Draft right here. So, yeah, you're not going to make any money doing it this way. So I wouldn't advise it at the moment, but the numbers will shift. Cam Ward is minus 120, the quarterback from Miami. Abdul Carter plus 225. Travis Hunter plus 425. Those 3 are going to be your top 3 picks, right? Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. Abdul Carter, the defensive end for Penn State. And Travis Hunter, rightful Heisman winner. Jump I mentioned if you want about Gentry, but Travis Hunter's incredible. And Tennessee will draft one of those 3 or trade out, and probably trade out for someone who wants Cam Ward. Okay. So Cam Newton's talking to Travis Hunter about the transition he will make from Colorado to the NFL, and the transition that Cam Newton had when he got to Carolina. I was in Carolina 2008 on the practice squad. 2009, I started the last 3 games. 2010, you were 2-14. I played every snap. Now, maybe we're sucky because I was bad, but that's not why. Let me explain in a second. 2011, Cam comes in. Eventually, by 2015, he wins the MVP, and they go back to the Super Bowl. Remember, they've been to the Super Bowl in 2003. So Cam said here, my issues when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. They didn't take themselves seriously to realize, we were 2-14. There's a lot of 2-14 in the mentality of those guys. Okay. So words matter, right? And how you say them matter. And Cam Newton's in the media now. He's been doing it long enough. He knew what he said, okay? So let's respond to this. The reason Carolina got to Cam Newton is in 2008, 12-4, number 2 seed, Jake Delhomme has a terrible playoff game, okay? Core of that roster plays in 2009. Jake Delhomme gets hurt. We go 8-8. We finish the last 3 games of the season. We're 8-8. We're not great. We're not terrible. We're 8-8. Now, heading into 2010 was the uncapped year, uncapped salary year before we got into the labor lockout. And there was basically no floor, no restriction. And our owner, Mr. Richardson, cut a bunch of veteran players because he wanted to be bad, essentially. We drafted Jimmy Clausen. But sort of the core of the team remained mostly the same from 2008, 2009, 2010, and then 2011 and moving forward. So it's Jordan Gross, multiple-time Pro Bowl left tackle. Ryan Khalil, multiple-time Pro Bowl All-Pro center. Travell Warner, left guard, that was a Pro Bowl alternate for so many years. That's Steve Smith, Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame, right, wide receiver. It's Jonathan Stewart and it's D'Angelo Williams, both Pro Bowl running backs. It's John Beeson, who's an all-pro linebacker. Thomas Davis, an all-pro linebacker. It's Chris Gamble, who was a good corner. It's Charles Johnson, who's one of the, great, not great, but a really quality defensive end in the National Football League. That was the core of Charles was young in 2008, but that's 2008, 9, 10. Like those are the same core guys. The reason we were bad in 2010 was Jimmy Clausen played for us. And look, I don't want to throw straight at Jimmy Clausen, but that's just the truth of it. The truth of it was they cut some kind of core. Look, to be good, you need some core players, right? And when you cut most of the core and just have, well, let me put it a different way. When you cut sort of the fringe of the team, that core is still there. You need the fringe around it, right, to be adequate. They cut all the fringe. So just left those core guys, right? And we just didn't have enough talent other positions to win, but also our quarterback did not give us the chance to win the football game. Remind you, 2009, we were 8-8. We set a rushing record that has not been beaten yet. 2 running backs with 1,100 yards each. So we weren't bums in 2009, right? We had things, again, it wasn't the best year, but we set a record that year. 2010 comes around, same group of guys essentially, carved away a little bit of the fluff around, and we went 2-14, and our coach got fired, and John Fox was very honest with us during the season about where he stood. But that was a lame duck year. John Fox was going to be gone, and we're trying to be bad, put a quarterback that wasn't ready. And so when he says that we were a bunch of losers, and I didn't think it was directed at me. I mean, but when you have when you say this team's a bunch of losers, okay, that, as you mentioned, all the guys, right? Steve Smith, Jordan Gross, Ryan Khalil, Thomas Davis, John Beeson, Charles Johnson, Chris Gamble. These guys were winners, had a bad year, and then eventually went back to winning again. So to call all of them losers for one down year feels like an extreme exaggeration of what actually happened that season, which was we were built to not be very good because they cut away players, and we had Jimmy Clausen playing quarterback who wasn't ready to play quarterback in the National Football League. So it's just a misunderstanding of why we were bad. And he goes in this locker room and he says, 2-14 mentality. The same dudes that you eventually won with were in that locker room. I just think it's a slap in the face to the guys that were there. But clearly we're not losers, that were winners and played well for many years outside of the 1 year they were 2-14. And then the other part, again, not know how to win. That's not true. 2 years earlier, everyone did win. John Fox has won at many different places. He won in Denver. He won in Carolina. To act like no one knew how to win is ridiculous. And then the last part, this is the part I actually thought was the worst of it all, was not knowing how to prepare. Because we prepared to win every game. We just didn't have a good quarterback. And so did Cam come in and all of a sudden we were the best prepping team ever? Did Jordan Gross, Ryan Khalil, Charles Johnson, all these guys, they just magically learn how to prep because this Cam was there? And again, this is no slight at Cam the player. Cam is an unbelievable football player. He's MVP of 2015. Like, he has been a great player for the Panthers. And I get there's some internal strife between him and the Panthers for not inviting him on things and maybe not, giving, having him give back or come back to the team, I should say. I get all those things. And this is not Cam was a fabulous player and was great for the organization and great for the city of Charlotte, and all those things are true. But to say that the team was losers and didn't know how to prepare feels like a misrepresentation of what happened at 20. And that's why I think a lot of players took offense to that, because as Charles Johnson said, he played well that year. Jordan Gross made a Pro Bowl that year. We had a really good core of players that was in a bad situation. And that is why people took offense to loser comments. It's that simple. I know people say, oh, you were 2-14, you were losers. If you want to say we had a losing culture that year, that's fair. You go 2-14 with losing culture. But it wasn't like a team that had gone perpetually 4 wins, 5 wins, 3 wins, 2 wins. Again, 12 wins, 8 wins, 2 wins, right? So, yeah, we were downsliding, but it wasn't like we were always bad. 2 years prior, we were the 2 seed. 2009 set a rushing record. And then we're losers now all of a sudden in 2010. So that's why guys got upset. It's that simple. I mean, it's the end of the world? No. And I know people will say that's not what Cam meant, and it's certainly possible not what he meant exactly, but it's what he said. You got to take him at his word, right? He's in the media. He knows if he says things, what's going to happen and what people respond to and how he says it. So, and I guess on the Super Bowl, he had on Ron Rivera and Jonathan Stewart, who he called a loser, by the way, because that was part of one of the guys on the group that was there in 2008, 2009. So that's why people former players are upset about it. I guess Steve Smith might. I got to never talk to him again. I don't know. Steve Smith seems really angry, and I don't know. I wouldn't want to make Steve Smith angry. So, all right. And lastly, the Panthers should invite him back to do things. I've been doing a tiny bit more with the Panthers. They're trying to do a better job of this. I don't know why they won't invite him to these events. That's between the Panthers and Cam Newton. I don't think taking it out on his teammates is the right way to go about it. Like, if you're angry with the Panthers, be with the Panthers. Like, call out David Tepper. Call out. I will say, I like the new coaching staff here, Canales. I think they're going to win in Carolina. Put it like that. I like Dan Morgan. I like what they're doing here in Carolina. You could tell, obviously, the back half of the season when Bryce Young got more confidence and got rolling, you could see the image and what this team can be at some point. So that's between Cam and the organization. You got to figure that out. I don't think calling everyone losers makes it any easier to be involved with the Panthers. So, all right, let's talk about Matt Stafford. Saw a tweet from Daniel Jeremiah who said, I'm going to pull up right now. You should follow Daniel Jeremiah, draft guy, obviously. So he said, it'd be so fascinating to see what trade compensation would look like if the Giants traded for Stafford. If they could hold on to the third pick, they could have some really fun options. I am sort of a bottom line person with quarterbacks, right? Is the quarterback that you bring in going to help you win a championship or not? Now, that's sometimes too simplistic, because sometimes you just need a quarterback to bridge. You need a quarterback to get you to another year. There's not a great option. The Raiders, for example, would maybe they say, hey, man, we don't love Shedeur. Like, let's get ourselves a Sam Darnold for a year and bridge to something else. I get that. Totally understand that. But this trade to the Giants makes no sense for the Giants, and really no sense for the Rams unless they're getting the third pick overall. The Giants guys are very far away from being good, even with a Matt Stafford. And right now, this team just needs as many good football players as possible. And a older, aging quarterback who's been a dome guy his entire career, going outside to play MetLife Stadium and to play in Philly, to play in Washington, seems like not the best resources to spend to making your team better. Will Matt Stafford bump you up? Obviously, better than quarterback they have. But how does that get them any closer to where they want to be? They need a young quarterback who is on a rookie contract to build around. That's the blueprint for winning championships. If you want to bring in Tom Brady at age whatever 42 to a really good roster and win championships that way, that's another way to do it. But the fact is the Giants aren't even close to that. Think about the impact players the Giants have. Andrew Thomas, check. Now he was hurt last season, but impact player. Blake Neighbors, check. Really good football player. Brian Burns and Lawrence. Four guys. Now, are there young players that the Giants hope could be there? Like, is Tracy a good football player? Absolutely. But he's not a game wrecker. When you have that meeting before the game, really, I guess it would be like Wednesday and game plan week, and you say, here are the players we're circling. They're impact players. Four. The whole team. Think about Philly. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. That's just the offense. Now, maybe Goddard's not on that level yet. But like that, I just mentioned 6 guys. They doesn't get to defense yet. Giants have 4 in the whole team. Trading for Matt Stafford gives them 5, but then you lose picks to build your roster. The Giants right now, more than anything else, need a quarterback, obviously. They need a young quarterback, and they have to build the roster around that quarterback. And trading for Matt Stafford does not get them there. After 2 years of Stafford, let's say, are you any closer to winning a championship? You need a quarterback in the future. Those young players around him. That doesn't get you there. And the other, I saw Chase Daniel tweet out that he thinks it's possible that Stafford goes to the Steelers. That makes sense. That's a good option for him. The Steelers need a quarterback like him around that team. That would make sense. He also has the Jets on here. I don't know if I like that, but Stafford to the Steelers would make sense. That would make sense. Stafford the Giants, absolutely not. All right, guys. I think my time is up here. 22 minutes. We'll try to do these every day, maybe. Sometimes, it depends on radio. If I have radio during the day, I'm probably not going to do it. No radio today. Podcast tomorrow. Josh Schwartz is smarter than you. Cover a wide range of things. Might be getting some basketball, some baseball, some wagering here and there. We'll see. All right, everyone. Talk to you guys tomorrow, Friday, Monday. I don't know. We'll do it again soon. Take care, everybody.